All right, welcome back to Sorare FP. Calling this one live after lock, or just after lock, I guess. Yeah, with the early lock today, there was really no chance I was going to be able to do a live before lock and finish updating the projections and actually make some lineups. So I actually got to set most of my lineups that I wanted to today, which is the best I can hope for. And yeah, so even if I did have time this morning, it was going to be me just kind of not knowing what's going on because I hadn't had a chance to do things like check the weather, check in with Discord, see what folks are talking about, and what might come up. I'm not sure any amount of news would have gotten me to not start Chris Paddock in 6 lineups. I was really excited for him following a decent looking spring and a matchup against the White Sox. And I think they put up 8 or 10 runs against him. So that's pretty great. Better things have happened, but that's what happens. So at least I got to set those lineups. What I wanted to do today was I've been joking a while about the Sorare MLB, the FP way, aka the Acuna sprinkles method. But we've had a bunch of questions, folks in the Discord, as well as a message from Chris Lambert today. Just DM. Chris has been in FP before. I think he's, kind of come and gone at times, but he won limited champion this week. I believe it was limited champion. And so had $400 to spend and asked, hey, what should I do with this money? So I thought that would be a good thing to go over tonight. And like I said, I've got a TJ Doc, welcome. He said it could be worse. Could have started the Brewers bullpen. That's great. My 2 favorite teams are the Brewers and the Twins. And it sounds like the Brewers bullpen blew up. I actually did, what, TJ Doc? I started Joel Payamp. So I'm guessing he was part of that. That's great. They had 4 games. I do like him, but he had a bad outing last time. And if it was him again, that's awesome. But maybe it was other people. Maybe it was McGill. And honestly, I'm not sure who else they even have. I think Koenig and I don't know. Mears is on the IL. Is Abner Uribe back in their bullpen? I don't know. We can check that out in a little bit. But again, what I wanted to do was answer a question like Chris Lambert's. Again, congratulations, Chris Lambert, on your win. It was awesome. Quick programming reminder. If you're watching this, hopefully you know what Sorare MLB is, and hopefully you've heard of Sorare FP, which is the Discord projections and now app started by Alex Hooper, an amazing dude who took a job with Underdog and can no longer do it. So somebody need to take it over. That's why I'm here, and that's why you're listening to me. My name's Kevin. You probably know me as Clamp or Clamp1 or even K-Lamp. You can say that however you like. But yeah, welcome. I'm here to plug Sorare FP. Go to the Patreon. Let me put that back up on the bottom. Patreon.com/SorareFP. You can also find us on the App Store, the FP Projections app. You can kind of check it out if you are not a subscriber, but you can subscribe either through the App Store or through the Patreon site to get our projections and get the app, which we have been beta testing direct lineup submission using an older method, but I know Captain Noswat also said there's been movement from Sorare on the preferred method of Sorare for us to be submitting lineups. So hopefully by game week 3, by Friday, we're going to have a fully functional lineup submission in our lineup builder for the app, which is awesome. It kind of sucks having to go back and forth or, doing it on the app or just looking at the spreadsheets, which is what we do. But yeah, go check that stuff out. If you want to just sign up for the free Patreon Discord, for the free Patreon tier as well, you can. I'll be sending some stuff out throughout this season. Some teasers and some info for certain game weeks. We'll probably do like a 1 week where we just share them with everybody. So if they want to use them or compare them to whatever they're using, they can. Yeah, so go sign up if you want to know when we're doing this stuff, what we're doing. But for those of you that haven't been following along, again, I took this over last summer. This is the first time I have had to go through like preseason, getting ready for the season. Of course, it takes a little bit longer than I expected, especially since I'm not as good at this stuff as Alex was, and specifically like spreadsheets. Although I've gotten better over the past week, as well as my ability to do Python things has also improved. But when you start from a pretty low level, it's hard not to improve. But yeah, so projections, it looked like there weren't any issues with them. I think I've got all the players that we needed to added in. At some point, some of the new guys, the guys that didn't have cards, something needed to be added, whether it was their Sorare like ID, the slug name that's used for that, or what we're pulling in from Fangraphs or StatCast or all that stuff. But it looks like I've got everything in there. I've got all of the team abbreviations updated, so opposing lineups are going to be coming up correctly. TJ Doc says, I do a great job in getting better every week. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so it's certainly not where I would like it to be ready for opening day. But I think we're going to be there in the next week or so, which is exciting. And again, part of the issue with this stuff is just not having access to like the Sorare API for the app stuff. We really couldn't do it until they released the cards and updated the API for the new season stuff. And then with the stats that we use, part of it was I needed Alex's help, and we needed to find a time to kind of go over like my questions of how does this work, and if this is broken, like where do I need to go look to fix it. But we worked that stuff out. I think we figured it out, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this stuff going. So next on my list is getting the price data in there, and I know Captain No Sweat's help with that. So he I think the script that he has was pulling like floor price. And so he needs to add some stuff to incorporate recent sales, and then also differentiate between classic and in season. And so once we've got that stuff, I can start playing around with it. We can do the basic stuff and get it into the spreadsheet for those of you that are in the all-star tier and are missing having the updated price information, so you can kind of sort by projection and see who's the cheapest in kind of the ranges that you're looking to add someone. And then for the rest of season projections, I know that should also have like a dollars per VORP kind of calculation as well, to see who might be the best values right now. And like I've said before, there's going to be a bunch of fluctuation in the coming weeks. And so, the like Rafael Devers, for instance, who has struck out, I think, approximately 7,000 times in the first 4 or 5 games. I'm guessing he's going to keep getting cheaper if you believe that he's going to be the kind of type of player that I think most people typically expect from him. He's probably comparable to Austin Riley. So, if you still expect that from him, he's probably going to be a value at some point. But like Jackson Chourio, who started off slow as well. He started off slow last year. He figured it out for sure. We'll start to know more. We can kind of take a look more in depth at like what's happening. Is he missing on certain pitches? Is he struggling again against a specific pitch, something like that? And is it something that can be figured out? So, sometimes, especially for a young player who kind of came up and started off, or at least for part of the season was playing pretty well. over the offseason, sometimes teams have a chance to kind of look at what their strengths and weaknesses are and come up with a different or a new plan on how to pitch to them that that the player is going to need to adjust to. Jackson Trio adjusted last year, and I have a lot of confidence that he will again this year. So for me, that's one of the guys where if his in-season cards are probably under $30, especially with credits now. And we can take a look at my results from this past week, which I don't think no cards, but a lot of credits. And so I've already started whittling away at that as I do, probably making terrible choices. Like I probably bought another Chris Paddock. But yeah, so let me check in real quick on the comments. We've got Miguel here. Miguel, welcome. He had Jackson his daily, and that might stop him from podium chasing. That is a bummer. Was Jax? Was it that Jax? Like, was he even in the game? When last I saw the Twins game, they were down like 8-1 or something like that. So I didn't imagine that Jax would get in. Although maybe that's the issue for Miguel. But yeah, Twins, man. So I'm wearing this is like one of the alternate Twins hats. But I had told myself I wasn't going to wear Twins gear other than my Joe Meower shirt on the streams until the Twins were sold. But then I was like, well, I don't think they've won a game yet. So is that right? Did they get swept? I feel like, again, it's been kind of a long week and weekend. And so, yeah, I haven't really gotten a chance to follow baseball much, but I'm going to be making time for that hopefully soon. And I started. All right, Miguel says, yeah, he didn't get to pitch good. Although I think it would probably be worse for me if the Twins came back, got in the game, Jax pitched, and then sucked. But yeah. Yeah, Paddock was a -12. That's great. Great. So we'll look at the lineups that I set. We'll talk about the bad choices I made, but this was a roundabout way of me saying, for those of you that don't know the background, again, I took this over from Alex. I also, like, when I did that, I was looking forward to what I've been calling my sabbatical, but taking like 6 months or a year off from work to kind of be a stay-at-home dad and just catch up on all the life stuff. Like we moved into our house, I don't know, it would have been 2021, so like 4 years ago. And there's still just a list of things that I haven't gotten to. And so doing that was my plan. And so I thought I was going to have a lot more free time. I started volunteering once a week at my son's school. And I ended up just taking a job after I tried to volunteer in one of the special education classrooms. And yeah, so I'm a teacher's aide now, which is super fun. And I love it. It's great. But it does mean that like between 8 and 3:30 Mountain Time, I need to be somewhere and do things. So until the end of the school year, I probably won't be doing early live before locks. If I do anything beforehand, it'll be the night before or early in the morning. But I need to get kind of my routine down of steps for the projections. When I have to think about what I'm doing, it takes twice as long. It's not that long, but it takes something that can take 10 or at worst 15 minutes instead takes a half hour or 40 minutes. So like for instance, the Google link that's in the posts that you get on Patreon, that one is always the most current version of the projection. So you can bookmark that. You can always look at it. However, if I don't upload the current version before I send out that Patreon post, if someone immediately goes and looks, it's not going to be the most current one. They're going to, if I do that step afterwards. So it's figuring that stuff out. And I need a lot of reminders because I get easily distracted, as you all know. So to finish that story, the teacher in my classroom is leaving. She really has always wanted to, like, before she was a teacher, and her goal as a teacher is to work with just older students in special ed, so high school age kids. And so an opening at Boise High came up, and so she's going to take that, which means there's a teacher opening in my classroom. And so I'm going to get certified as a teacher to hopefully be able to take over in the fall. So yeah, but I need to figure that out in the next like 4 days because the posting closes then, which yeah. So this time next year, I might be a teacher, which is crazy, but again, it's super fun. I think my wife will feel better about it if I'm making teacher money, which is still not good, but like multiples more than a teacher's aide makes. So yeah, so my wife will, I think, will be happier about that. But that's certainly not going to pay all of our bills by any means. That's what her job is there for. But yeah, so that's a story. But yeah, I may be busy studying for the teacher certification test and need to like finish it before August so that I'm like actually certified as a teacher by the start of school. Otherwise, I think they need to ask the Board of Education for a waiver for me to be able to finish that stuff along the way. That's probably more information you guys wanted to know about the schools in Idaho, but there you have it. Um, Special education is incredibly important. I'm just going to say this. Yeah, if you have a child with a learning disability or behavioral issues, which many children have, I think, and will probably continue to have as the world gets crazier and crazier and our lives get more insane and controlled by electronic devices and all of that stuff. Um, yeah, there's kids that need like special help. And I think they probably wouldn't have gotten that help 50 or 80 years ago. And that's a shame. I think I'm sorry to be on a soapbox real quick, but kind of the promise of America is that everyone gets an equal opportunity. And to be able to live that out, you need to have a quality public education system. I don't think there's anything more important in the world than early childhood education and having a fully funded public education system. And so it's super important. It is so freaking cool that we get to help kids that otherwise wouldn't get a chance to do school, like just kids that just can't be in a general education classroom right now for a variety of reasons, but with help they likely can get there. And for everyone, there's always more that can be done to help these kids be able to get an education and be like thriving members of society, which I think regardless of your beliefs and politics, like I just feel like everyone can get behind, like everyone being educated is better, and people being able to contribute to society is a good thing. So that's that. Anyway, it's pretty cool that I'm going to be able to do this. I think. Thank you to my wife for letting me do a thing that I never thought I would be doing. And this is why I started early. I'm about 17 minutes in, but like it's only 4:12. So I did do some things to get ready. So here we go. Let's see. We are going to, all right, I'll catch up on this first. Miguel says, any possible chance or plans to track daily comps since RFP? It's awesome. Oh, thank you about the teacher stuff. Rock on. Thank you, Miguel. It takes a big heart to work with kids with special needs. For whatever reason, it's easy for me to be patient with kids, especially with autism. I did it long ago. I worked in a hospital, and so it was basically the kids that I'm a teacher's aide for in school right now. When they couldn't be at home or at school, they would need to go to the hospital for inpatient help, and that's where I was working with them. And so, like, these kids at school are great. Like they're miles away from the kids that were in the hospital when I was doing that. But yeah, it's something. And so for me, I wasn't worried. The reason I got hired in my classroom was because the last person they hired only lasted a day and they really needed help. And so I was like, no, I can do this for sure. Like these kids are going to be fine. And they're like, well, just come in and see the classroom so you're not surprised. But I was like, yeah, no, this is fine. These kids are great. So yeah, they need lots of help to make good choices sometimes. And we see some big behaviors, but it is awesome. I enjoy doing it. And so, yeah, I mean, for certain people, it would be a terrible job and a terrible idea. For me, it's great. And like I said, I get distracted pretty easily. It's a lot easier for me to focus when I'm like working one-on-one or with a small group of kids. And I kind of need to make sure that everyone is following along or like not eating something that's not edible or, just any of the things. So, yeah, it's fun. Let's get to what we're supposed to be talking about, which is All right, let me answer Miguel's question first. Any possible chance of tracking daily comps on Sorare FP? Yeah, probably. Um, that's the plan, and that's that's kind of down the priority list. So Cap is going to get, like I said, the lineup submission working. We're going to make some changes to make certain things easier in the app. So like adding a 2025 filter. I know that's there in the beta. I'm not sure if that's in the current public release right now, but stuff like that, kind of quality of life stuff that is pretty important. Kika's here. Welcome, Kika. You're here right as I'm trying to start getting to the meat of this, which is, what, 20 minutes in. I feel like that's a record, probably. But yeah, so we're planning to do daily. I'm not, like I said, my time is going to be more limited until mid-May when school is out. So I don't know, like we'll have the projections for sure, but to the extent we need to do like a modified scoring, or if we need to code in, like if it's like middle infielders can play anywhere, Cap needs to be able to push an update, and we only have like 12 hours to do that, which is not ideal. So yeah, I know there are folks that do kind of focus on the daily stuff, so we might just kind of take a step back on the daily stuff to the extent people are putting out projections and things like that. I'm hoping that we can kind of collaborate with them and make it so that there's just a template spreadsheet that they can send to us. And so, if users subscribe to Sorare Edge or, one of the other projection systems, but I know Sorare Edge for NBA was doing dailies consistently and on top of it. And so probably makes more sense for Nate over there to be doing that. But like I said, if we can have that easily importable into the app, that would be, I think, the best of both worlds. So ideally we'll have a solution like that. So yeah, because I mean the dailies are great, especially again, I hate that I now with MLB am doing it like NBA to the extent that I'm like, I wasn't able to get all my lineups in, so now I've got these players, I might as well play them in daily. But yeah, so let's take a quick look at what happened last week. Where did I go wrong? I don't know that I did that much wrong, but what I did this week, and I definitely did stuff wrong with Chris Paddock, for instance. And then get into the questions. We'll look at Chris Lambert's gallery and take a look at how to build a gallery from scratch. One of the new members in the FP Discord came in and said, hey, I'm coming back. I think dabbled in MLB before. And, if I'm starting from scratch, like, how should I get started? Which I think is a great way to approach and just look at the different ways to build a gallery. So we'll take a look at what I've been doing with my gallery in terms of adding 2025 cards. Whether or not it's smart or not is questionable for sure. But that going into the season, that was one of the things that I wanted to try to do, was not put new money in. I did finally put some in now that I've got a credit card connected to my account after missing out on Griffin Jacks. Again, I'm sorry, Kika, about the Griffin Jacks debacle. So I got an AJ Puck super rare in season for like $100, which is what I would have easily spent on Griffin Jacks as well. I'm always going to be sad that I missed it. Kika asked about app upload close. Yep. I think I know one of the beta testers was able to submit some lineups today. There's still funky parts with it, like so like the way, let me share this. Where's that? All right, let's do add to stage, please. Thank you. All right, there it is. So if you play NBA, it's similar to that, where you need to add a team and then you can like edit your team. It's not like I've been calling it like a blank, but like a slot to put it. And so the way that the app interacts with the API right now, I know for sure you need to have like hit the like new team. And Kick is saying I tried the beta and it was hit and miss. Yeah, for me too, it was as well. And I don't know how much of that is user error, because again, I haven't been paying much attention to Cap's emails. But yeah, if you are a new member, please check the app notes, which are on like the App Store. There'll be information about what, when the latest update came out, what was fixed in it, what you need to do to log in, because you need to link your Sorare account, you need to link your Patreon account if you're a Patreon subscriber, and the different steps you need to go through to make that go more easily. So yeah, please read that stuff. I usually, if you check out the older Patreon posts, that'll be there. If you're in the Discord, the channel specifically for like app feedback, should have the most recent information on kind of what the troubleshooting type stuff as well. So yeah, check that stuff out. But yeah, it's hit or miss right now. I know Cap is still in Austin, and was going to be able to work more on the app once he was out of there, but I think he said it was like 4 days, so it might be like tomorrow he's leaving. So I think he'll be working on it then, and hopefully get some changes to address all the issues that we have right now. But yeah, it is. I've got just over an hour before I need to get off tonight. So let's finally get into this. So let's take a look at. Should we start with the bad choices I made for today? I still haven't done a minors lineup yet. I don't even know what that's involved there. So I guess we got Buxton, who already I think was injured. I'm not sure. Looked like he ran into a wall or something. So he might not be playing. I set this one early, and I started shying away from Twins as I actually started setting the bulk of my lineups later this morning, because it looked like there was going to be weather in where they were just in St. Louis, right? Who are they playing? Oh, in Chicago. So yeah, it looked like there's going to be rain Wednesday, and so it's the White Sox Twins, it's a divisional game, so that if they don't, they're not going to try as hard to squeeze it in before the end of this trip, because they can make it up around another series later in the season. So those are the ones that I tend to avoid. So again, early Ellie was, I think, the highest projecting hitter in the FP projections. You can take a look at that too. I know Jordan was pretty high, but these guys have 4 games. Ellie's at home. Excuse me. Jordan. I don't think it matters where he is necessarily. And then William Contreras, who he was one of the guys that had 4 games, but even he will sit some games, but he's more likely to DH on the days he doesn't catch. So I wouldn't be surprised if he plays all 4 games. And then Chirio as well, who I know someone had commented and said he looks lost at the plate right now, and hopefully he'll be fine. But Tyler B is here. Welcome, Tyler. He's saying it might take a month before he even has a lineup that wins cash. Yeah, I mean, especially way prizes are and all of that. It wouldn't be surprising to be 3 or 4 weeks for many people to win cash, no matter how much they're putting into it, and how good of choices they're making. Tyler had a lineup of Contreras, Correa, and Buxton combined for the day. They put up a 0. Great. Which, I mean, it could be worse. Could have been Chris Paddock, who put up, I think, a -12 or so. So yeah. Let's see. Let's find some Paddock lineups. I'm sure there's a lot. So these are Challenger. Lindor is day-to-day. That's less than ideal. Sorry about that. Yeah, baby, it's that time again. This is one of those things where I wish I had time to check the news and things like that. The manager acknowledged on Saturday he's expecting his 3rd son. So he might not play at all. He might only be gone for a day or 2, but I would not be surprised if he misses the rest of the series. So that's going to hurt these Challenger lineups. Bobby Witt with a good start, though. So hooray! Yay! Super rare challenger. I didn't have the only actual starting pitcher I have right now is Gavin Williams, and he wasn't starting this week. I had to unseal my Louis Varland to be able to have someone. He didn't play today, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets in at least. But All Star has been my lowest priority, so we'll come back to that. But for champion and for limited, I had lots of options, and so it wasn't necessarily going with Chris Paddock here. I'm not sure. Oh, I did start him in limited champion 3. That's great. But yeah, Wheeler, Matt McLean, Chirillo, who at least put up a 5, I guess. And then Tucker, Ellie, and Contreras, and Brian Abreu, who was one of my few 4-day options. Like I said, I was a little hesitant to go with Jax, who I had at least a few of, because it looked like a game. One of the games was going to be rained out. And in that case, if he's only going 3, there's a lot less benefit to actually playing him. But Schwarber put up a 19, and so this one's looking good. I should have played more Schwarber, and I didn't. And that's one of those things where probably if I had another 2 hours over the weekend or this morning to put into it, I could have done that. But yeah, so we got Vlad. These are a lot of 3-game ones. I did put Larnach in here. It's a bummer. But yeah, so Paddock is one of those guys that I had focused on. Looked decent in the spring. It's been a while, but has shown the ability to pitch pretty well, and had a matchup against the White Sox. And so it sounded perfect. But, best laid plans and all of that. So the champion lineup, not doing great. Second one also did Chris Paddock. I'm guessing most of my all-star lineups have Chris Paddock in them. Kika says rewards are way down. Yeah. I'll finish going over kind of the breakdown that I did before when I started looking last year to this year. Especially considering I don't think it's hard to get a 20% reward boost. I don't know that it's that bad, especially considering, it's more top heavy for sure. And there's that. So, but I think that is the way to go. I think even, and we can look at let's look at last week. So I didn't have like a terrible week last week. I didn't have like the best week in the world. So top 9% and top 4% in Challenger. So $12 in credits, $6 in credits. And so these are the Challenger ones. So 225 limited energy. So 9 card slots to be able to play, which is great. I think that's fine. Another $12 in credits. That's the same one. Let's look at rare. $17 in credits for my rare Challenger 2 team, which started off pretty well, in part because I had 2 starting pitchers going. So Kikuchi and Wheeler pitched that first day. Munoz had a great 4-game set. And so, yeah, the with the relievers, the trade-off is always going to be an actual, like a closer with 4 games versus starting pitcher you can play in the reliever slot. It's like I did play Michael King. That one obviously backfired. And so, yeah. Certain weeks there's going to be 4 games, series or 4-game weeks for some players in the midweek that there just won't be a lot of great options. And so if you're looking at like, Kenley Jansen, or I guess depends on what happens with, or like Jordan Romano, maybe like someone that like could easily have a blow up. Like we don't necessarily trust 100%. I don't know that I would want 4 games of them versus a starting pitcher with a good matchup. Right now, it's every year certain pitchers are going to do better than expected and others worse. Sometimes it's injury related if they're doing worse, but sometimes it's command related. Sometimes early in the spring, the command isn't there. Like Blake Snell, for instance, the past, I don't know, however many years, has started off slowly. He is kind of the definition of a nibbler, where he kind of nibbles around the outside of the zone. His goal is to not miss over the heart of the plate, and so when he makes a mistake, it's going to be a ball and not a home run given up. And so, as he, I think, probably takes a little bit, because of the way he pitches, I think his scores will be lower early on. And so I love Blake Snell as a pitcher, as a season-long fantasy player. And he's looked phenomenal when he's been healthy from June to September, pretty much every year. But with Sorare, like if he continues to put up 16s, I think his price is going to drop. And so it's hard to convince myself to put a lot more money into him when his price is somewhat inflated, when you can just wait a little bit. And so I'll likely hold off on buying any more Blake Snells. I've got him mostly because I have a 23 Padres collection, because that was the first year Fernando Tatis had a card, and he is an amazing baseball player. And he put up a 78 last game week. So he put up a 78. Westberg put up a 65. Tyler O'Neill a 47. Like these are all like Munoz or that 49. O'Neill Cruz a 66. So who else do we have? Kyle Tucker a 64. Logan Gilbert put up a 38. You can play any of those guys in the flex spot. Like Gilbert was pitching at home against the A's, and even the folks that think the A's are like kind of a sleeper team this year will admit that they're not the best offense in the world. They're not scary by any means, and they when they're playing in Seattle, it's a hard place to hit, and so that's always going to be a good place to start a starting pitcher. So all those guys can be played. There's probably a few dozen different lineup combinations that could have got you onto a podium this weekend. And I think that's often how things go, which, as I always say, is one of the things I love about this game. But yeah, so I got 17 and then 18, so $35 in credits. There might have been one other one too, but is that the only place we can win credits? I really don't know. But top 20% for All-Star, top 30. So a little bit of essence, some XP, bonuses of decent amounts. These are lower because I'm playing these common cards, and so not getting the full 15% for a full lineup of limiteds. I wonder if you get player loyalty on these guys though. Like I'm guessing I probably did Jazz, but I don't know. Miguel says Gino put up a 92 Eugenio. So yeah, just a ton of home runs from him. I believe Colton Cowser had a good series, but then broke his thumb sliding into first base. Never slide into first base. Just don't do that. He hurt himself. I think he broke his thumb and is going to be out for like 2 months, which is brutal. I was pretty excited for him. He only put up a 20. I think he had a home run in one of the early games though, but yeah, Ketel Marte at a 36. Jazz put up a 71, these are adjusted with XP and all of that. So I don't know exactly his unmodified score, but it was around there, anyone else I'm missing? I don't know. Anyway, so I got some credits. I've spent, let's see. Yeah, okay. 24. So I won about $36 in credits. That doesn't really, I was adding poorly. So yeah, it was like 15 and 17 or something. So yeah, about $36 in credits, which, with where prices are right now, I feel happy about that. So let me check in on the comments. I know Tyler was talking about rewards and all of that. 25 rewards for rares, like 4% based on last game week, limited almost around 10%. Yeah. I think for me, I also want to consider the essence that is coming in, because I'm just giggling at Bob, realizing that people are calling essence a term that's inappropriate for a family podcast. But um, yeah, uh, I feel like I'd heard that before as well, probably on the soccer side. I'm not sure, but it did make me giggle, and that is hilarious. Let's see. Let's check. We should be able to check these guys, right? To see what the prizes look like. But I mean, this is always going to be tweakable stuff, right? So all right, so top 75 are getting, oh, tier one. That's so there. What I don't like here is like 350 essence to from 11th to 25th, which I mean, if we want to reward those people, but I think $35 and a T1, which last year was a star card, is um is probably more than enough, and to distribute that essence to the first person that doesn't get a card makes 1,000 times more sense to me. And so, this, if this is 350 essence, that's like that's a third of a card. And so it's what would have, I mean, essentially in this spot, you would have been getting a T3 last year. Is that right? Star one, two. So that's star and one. Oh, so an old T3, after the changes they made of star to T4, a T2. And so you're getting a third of a card more than that if you've got rewards boost, and in many cases I think we are, for especially for limited, it's not hard to get to 400. I think if you've been playing for a while. If you haven't, sure. And I don't know that I would go out and buy 50-cent cards just to be able to do that. I think I would probably just wait, and you're going to accumulate these cards if you put together a team, building the FP way. And so we'll get into that. But yeah, so, getting 50 and 30 is a huge drop off from a T2 and 70, a T1 and 100, a T1 and 200, T1 and 350 plus cash up here. So, um, it is what it is. Like I said, I would easily make that change. So there's that. If assuming they make a change like that, and I think, I'm sure John would love if we all went in Discord and started yelling at him about that. So go do that next time you're in the Sorare MLB Discord. There are worse things to yell at John about, so this is a better one. But Tyler also said we need the beat the game mode for any type of consistent money, any hope of consistent money rewards. I don't know that that's necessarily true. I think it's going to feel that way for sure if you start off slowly. If the guys that you focused on, like Chris Paddock or Trevor Larnach and Matt Wallner, are not playing well, or you just get kind of unlucky, or you bought Ohtani instead of Judge, and Judge hits 10 home runs in the first 4 game weeks or something like that, and Ohtani only hits 3 or 4. It's for sure going to feel that way, but that's that is kind of part of the ups and downs of the game, the variance and all of that. And so yeah, I think one thing that we can do is look at entries and finishes and all of that, and what you get this year versus last year, and we can put together the average price of a T2, things like that. And so we can kind of start to look at kind of the value and where the value is distributed, and that's something I'm looking forward to doing. And so I'd prefer to have the conversations about this stuff that way. A lot of times I feel like the conversations around changes and that Sorare makes are based on like, I feel like this is what's going to happen, or I feel like this feels that way. So a lot of times those feelings are just like, this is new and different, and it's a little scary, and it looks worse. And I think a lot of times the expectation is that Sorare is going to not make the best choice. And so when you go into it that way, it's going to feel that way. But yeah, I don't think a beat the game mode is the method to fix things. If it's, similar to the kind of streak stuff they're doing with MLS, I don't know that that's going to feel any better, if it's hard to build a streak like that. We'll see. We'll see what they do. As always, it's going to be a process. But like I said, one of the changes that could be made in that process are bumping the essence down, especially since with the rewards boost, if you're winning a T1, as it stands, you're already getting some amount of essence, and it might be as much or more than that as it is. So, if you have a rewards boost and you win a card, there's like a chart of a star card is worth 3,500 essence, and then you apply your percentage to that. So I don't think you can ever get 3,500 essence. You can only get half of that because the max you can have is 50%. I think that's how that works. And so if you're closer to 20 or 25% for a star card, you're looking at, I did this the other day in my head, not well, but if it's like 4,000, 2,000, 1,000. So like 1,000, just under 1,000. So just like almost a card. And so depending on what the drop off is for T1 and T2, you're, for the T2, like you're getting more than 70 essence. Push this down. Please, Damien, listen now. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Again, I think we can just take a look at the numbers and say there's two conversations to be had with this. One is like, is this worse? And how is it worse? And so I think one way of looking at it is it's worse because there's not as long of a tail. No one's getting T3s and 4s or 4s and 5s. The worst two tiers. So we're going out to T2. Yeah. So the worst two tiers aren't being given out as rewards. Instead, that's being spread out through essence and all of that. And so how does that actually shake out? Like, what are the details of it? Is it truly better or worse? I think a lot of people looked at certain things and said, this is worse. And it turns out it's actually better when you're putting all the pieces together. But also, there's, like a normative argument of how should rewards be structured? Should it be, most of the rewards are going to the top 5% of finishers and very little to the other 95%? Should it be kind of more evenly distributed across the top 20% of finishers, things like that? So, I mean, that's a different conversation. And that one, it's going to be hard to ever get an answer of this is how it should be or how I think it would be best. That one, just, we need to watch it play out and see what works better and what does not, what feels better and what does not. So Tyler B is saying to take advantage of the boost, you got to finish top 25, which is rough. I want to make sure that if I'm ever able to figure out how to make shorts of this stuff, which I think is probably the worst possible way to, if you're going to be taking in the nonsense I spew, I feel like you really need to get the full kind of half hour spiel, the rambling. But I don't think anyone understands how rewards boosts work. It's my understanding, and I could be wrong as well, but it's my understanding that any reward other than energy is boosted. I think there was a question about XP, but I feel like the answer to that was yes, XP gets boosted as well. We can look at this, I suppose, in a second. But for the most part, like all the important stuff, energy is important too, but that one we clearly know is not included there. But money, cards, and essence are all going to be increased by the rewards boost. The rewards boost applies to every card that you play of a player that has a boost, and not just in season cards. I feel like I've heard people talk about this in terms of only your 2025 card is going to get that. I'm 99.9% certain that's not true because of the rewards, the breakdown of it, like ones that I had when I was setting lineups, it shows you the kind of running total of rewards boost. Adding a classic card that the player has a boost was increasing it. Now maybe it's coded wrong, and No one would be surprised by that. But all of your cards are going to get that boost for a player. So, I've like Vlad is one. So all of my Vlads, I believe, should have given me everything, but also not top 25, Tyler. Everything's going to get boosted. So, for limited, I'm assuming you're talking about cash, right? Which actually goes out to 50, I think, for this one. But maybe if you're talking about rare, that's different. Yeah, so rare. So let's look at the rare champ leaderboard. But again, congratulations to the Chris Lambert. That's awesome. Yeah, I got you, Tyler. I'm getting there. It's usually when I'm like, this isn't that bad, and it goes out further. It's like, oh no, people are talking about rare, which is, I think in many ways a sweet spot. But actually, let's go. So let's see what that rewards boost looks like if it was boosted. So 1,000. So it looks like XP isn't, but Essence is. So the top 15% are getting 1,000 XP and 30 Essence, and I had a 15%. These are scoring bonuses though. Yeah. All right. So this is showing 35 and 1,000 XP. And so it looks to me like we are. And Tyler says, yeah, 30 Essence going to 37 is all right. But so, yeah, let's look at the rewards. And again, part of top 25 is getting a T3 and cash. So yeah, you're exactly right, Tyler. Yeah, it's only the top 25. Again, I think that's an error in how they're doing this, and hopefully they're listening and will change that. But I don't have a problem with the one scarcity up Essence rewards. Pretend it doesn't exist if you don't play super rare and you win rare. But the rare Essence 250 for 4th through 9th, so it's going to be, is that 6 spots? I think. 120 for 10th through 15th, like that should be going to 15 to 26 to 15%. Like I feel like that should be going out to those, at least some portion of them. 26 to 100 is going to be about 75. How many are we looking at for? We're getting this. We've got about 6, and then so it's 10. We got 60 going out to these next ones. Yeah, so 26 to 50 get 200 pre-boost, and kind of go from there. It would be much better than 30. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Again, I think a simple change that they need to make, and it doesn't make sense that they're not. I feel like in some ways they looked at rewards and said, oh, well, like they're going to be boosted, so it's going to be okay if we reduce the cash from 1,500 to 1,250, because assuming you have a boost, or from 500 to 430. And so you got a boot, like on average, the boost is going to get you back to 500 or something like that. But they're not considering that with the cards receiving Essence, and that being significantly more than the Essence you're getting anyway, and the fact that how garbage this reward is. And maybe 1,000 XP does make a lot of sense. I don't know. Tyler says 96% of the champ rare leaderboard is getting 30-ish Essence or less as reward. Yeah. And again, Tyler, I agree. I think they need to increase that Essence award. I'm hoping that that's one of those areas where they wanted to start small and err on the side of caution in terms of not going overboard with it, and we'll hopefully make tweaks to do that. Again, this is the sort of thing that I think it makes sense to go in the Discord and say, this doesn't make any sense, please fix this. And I think the more things the community can come together and kind of rationally yell at them about, I think the better it'll go. I do worry sometimes that we just yell about everything, and then it makes it easier for them to just ignore everything. Like, well, we're yelling about stupid things like super rare Essence and rare, like it's the end of the world, and like someone is going to try to win 1,000 super essence solely by podiuming on in rare champion. Like, that's not who that's for. That's clearly not who that's for. That's not the expectation. Again, if you think that that's not useful for many people that podium in rare, that's fine, and that's a fine conversation to have. But you can also look at it like you're getting an amazing reward between a star card and a significant amount of money. Who cares if you can't use the essence? That's such a small piece of it. Anyway, yeah. So I hope yelling at them about changing the way the essence is distributed and likely increasing it as well, both of those things together, I think make this a lot better. If you're getting, I mean, these are spots that would have gotten a okay, so this is a T3, which is a T4 last year. So they, for rare at least, they are going out to T3, and so T4s aren't being given out as far as I know. Maybe they are in daily or in All Star, but at the very least, T4s would have been given out to some chunk of these guys. And right now it's 30 essence, which is foolish to me. So yeah, so I mean, that's a change I would make for sure. And I think they have to make that. Kika says the in-season demand went way up as well, squeezes value out from both sides. Gotta something both sides. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm too tired to kind of try and think through the consequences of all this right now. And we've got about 40 minutes to finish up what I wanted to do today. Thank you again, everyone watching. Subscribe and like and whatever. I don't know. Patreon. If you want to do the cool stuff that FP does, you should do that. If you don't want to, that's okay too. Captain No Sweat, the amazing Captain No Sweat, also got 30 essence. So yeah, that's, there's a lot of times where people have said like, this reward is so bad, it's like a kick in the pants or something. It's worse than getting no reward at all. Like, it's insulting. And I think people do that about credits last year. Like, this is terrible. Like credits are useful, and for many people are buying some amount of new cards year after year. Obviously, that's the model they are moving to, not the DraftKings model of you need to have in-season cards to be able to participate in, many or most of the better contests, but just those are ones that you can play without restrictions. So yeah. So Tyler says, imagine running one lineup every game week in rare. If you make 35 essence a week, finishing top 50, it would take almost 30 game weeks to craft one rare card. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tyler. And like I said, that has to change. I will personally go to New York and throw things at John if it doesn't change. And I know that he has no control over those things or ability to change things, but he's going to pay. I apologize in advance, John. I'm looking forward to. Ooh, all right. I'm going to take a quick break and say, Sorare FP merch is coming. We're doing shirts. We're probably going to do hoodies. I still need to hear back from the screen printer, who I don't know why they they emailed me back really quick the first time, and the second time, and I'm worried like they didn't get my email, or maybe it went to spam. I probably should follow up with them to make sure. It's from like a school district email though. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So if you are an FP member, you look forward to getting a Google form. I'll probably get to it this weekend. If I can get it sooner, that'd be great, but I don't know that that's going to happen. So, yeah. So, I mean, you need to think now about if you're okay sharing your identity and address with Sorare FP. We're obviously not going to be giving out your private information to anyone absent a subpoena from a court. So I guess a court order of any sort. I think that would be a subpoena deuces Tecum. If you're into that sort of thing, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess like a search warrant. I don't know, man. Anyway, like, you got to trust us, but there's no reason I would have to ever give that out. And then if you're not in the US, shipping is going to be an issue as well. I know, for instance, one of our members, I think it was Zlatanur, who's an amazing person and an amazing Sorare player. He's playing up in the deep waters, I believe. I think he took third in Unique Champion this week. Congratulations. I think Zuby, it looked like, won. Congratulations, Zuby. But yeah, he won I think a bat from Sorare last year, and like it got stuck in customs, and there was no way he was ever going to get it. He just gave up on it. So if there's going to be issues like that, if it's not insane or exorbitant, we like, you guys are paying for Sorare FP, and I think it's a cool thing to do to get some merch out to you guys. So if we can, if it's at all cost feasible, we're going to send you something. But I think we'll probably be doing that. We'll probably do something special for, the 10 kind of longest standing members, something like that. We'll probably do like an OG tier or something, but we'll do that. And then for sure get probably a t-shirt out to everyone that's a member soon. I guess when I send the form out, if you're not a member, we're not going to get a response from you. So if you sign up after that, it'll be next time for you. So if you're on the fence, do it now. Do it now. All right. What else do I need to check in on here? Kika hates everything. Tyler thinks rewards are dumb. Absolutely right, both of you. Everything sucks. Nothing is good. All right. Let's look at the Chris Lambert's gallery. Let's see if I got this right now. There it is. And so he had said, hey, I won this $400 or so. I've got a gallery. He only plays limited, it looks like, 273 cards. So let's see what he has got going on. If this is ordered by Newest, does he not have any in season right now? Those are in season cards. Man, so I haven't seen him in the chat yet. DJ Local is frequently here, there, and everywhere. He's Roy Kent. He had shared a way to get around this stupid, like, you need to pick which scarcity of cards you're using, and you can't ever do like multiple ones. Like, these could easily just be buttons you turn on and off. I think it's still stupid, but that wouldn't be bad. But you can only look at limited cards and not, like, if I search for Aaron Judge and I have limited and rare cards, what if I want to look at those, which I do, especially if you have, I don't know, a mixed scarcity competition. I kind of want to know how many of who I have to see kind of how I want to use my cards, and we can't do that. DJ Local had found, like, if you're looking at the way that you look at someone else's gallery, wasn't bringing up the stupid thing that like my cards or my gallery was, but they have changed that because they hate us. Why, John? Why do you hate us? Why does Sorare hate us so much? Nobody knows. All right, so we are sorting by player name. All right, I wonder why that is that way. Do you think it's like Chris Lambert? It's like sticky for him. That's like a weird one, I think. All right, I want Newest. And so let's see. And then typically I like to filter by my favorites. That might not be an option on someone else's gallery, which again is stupid. Oh, favorites. Yes. All right. But like, it's different than when it's mine. Why would that be different? It doesn't need to be different. It's a questionable decision. All right. So of my favorites, it looks like all right, so he started picking up some cards with the new season. Other than that, he did some trades 5 months ago, so pretty inactive off season. But so he picked up Taj Bradley. He's a great sleeper. Dylan Cruz, didn't have a card before. Love him. TJ Friedel. TJ Friedel, we're going to go with. He's someone that it always looks like he shouldn't be very good, but like he does pretty well. He leads off in Cincinnati, which is a great hitter's park. We'll get to that if we have time. I've got about at least a half hour. He won Otani in that competition. He crafted a Jorge Soler. So that's all that he had of favorites of mine. Let's see. just of. Oh, that's going to show me. Oh no. So he does have a lot of. Wait. Again, John, you need to talk to someone about fixing this. This says 2025 season, but like there's some weird broken thing where at some weird cutoff point, Sorare thinks that 2024 cards are current season cards. There's got to be a tag of some sort that's on them. I'm from the Midwest, so I say tag. There must be a tag of some sort on them or something like that. But like that, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? It should work. It's John. I just feel like when I need to go to the doctor because of my blood pressure, it's gonna be your fault. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. All right. So he only bought 8 cards. So like this is a great example of someone who had he had a big gallery of classic cards. He bought a few of these, and let's see what he did with his lineup. Let's go back to that limited. Let's see what he was playing. It may have just been entirely. Where do you think that is? It'd be nice if the page name that showed up was showing us. All right, challenger, champion. So do you guys have a preference between like these being organized by champion versus organized by scarcity? It makes more sense to me that they be organized by scarcity, and it confuses me when I can't figure things out. But to each their own. I'm sure other people feel differently. So his lineup. So yeah, so he just energized all his cards, and it was awesome. And this, Tatis, Judge, Otani, Carroll, Betts, Skeens, Munoz, like those were all great plays. I can check and see where they fell. I mean, I was nervous about Mookie Betts because of he lost like 15% of his body weight due to illness. Tatis and Carroll, until they show us otherwise, I'd probably be comfortable playing regardless of matchup. If you don't have someone you like, Judge obviously is huge, and Otani, like you can play them. Like I don't think Otani is going to have as big of a year as Judge because I think he's going to steal less, and I think he's going to get some days off, and I think there's going to be a little bit of focusing on pitching this year. But yeah, I mean, those are great plays. Skeens is obviously a decent play as well. Chris is the film guy, right? Says TJ Doc. Yeah, he's a top guy. Nice to see some good people winning the big prizes. Yeah, he is a good dude. And yeah, it's exciting that he won. Hopefully he's listening to this. I told him, I was like, I'm not going to have a chance to answer your question today, but I am going to try and go over it on the stream tonight. So hopefully it sounded like he was not going to be able to watch it live, but was going to watch it afterwards. I hope he does. Lambo. All right, Mr. Lambo, let's see. So let's take a look at like things that he can do. So I guess my first thought would be, so I'm sure I can actually look at his competition history somewhere, right? Yeah. I mean, we can see what lineups he entered. So this is the live one. So he did limited all-star. Okay, so he used his in-season cards for an all-star lineup, mixed in some commons, ran 2 challenger lineups, and then 1 limited champion lineup using the Otani that he won, the in-season one, and then energizing everyone else. So I think this is a fine way to play, and I think it makes sense. If you want to try and like win as much as possible, I think you want to be able to kind of spread your chances out across, all of your multi-entries. But that's kind of the trade-off of if you have a large classic gallery, how you want to work it. I think this is a totally reasonable way to play. And I sometimes say, like I would not just buy all these guys and play them just because I think you can do it more cheaply, but it takes more time and effort. And he probably does have some of those guys and probably is will. I mean, like for instance, he has Ellie. He didn't play Ellie in that last lineup. I don't think Soto was in that lineup. So, Scooble wasn't in that lineup. It was Skeen. So, I mean, he's still making choices. And again, I think it's a fine way to play. And I think if you do have a gallery like this, though, this is what you want to do. And this is kind of what I was focusing on, like one for rare, one champion lineup, and then making two good challenger lineups to hopefully earn as much energy as possible. And going from there. And now if there's a week where a guy that I have a lot of copies of has a really good matchup, and I don't have many of their in-season cards, that's one where maybe I'll run, three different champion lineups that I'm looking to use up some energy with. But I don't know how. So he ended up with 50 and 75 from his challenger line. That's what he would win today. Let's see what he won for last week. So 75 and 150. So yeah, he did 59th in limited challenger too. So 225. So much like mine, it's 9 card slots. I'm worried I set a different number for my 225. Maybe I'm getting one of those numbers wrong. I don't know, but yeah, so 9 card slots. So that we're gonna have better weeks and worse weeks, and so but if that's close to average or even just on the better side, he's going to be fine the way he's playing. And so, Chris, I would build out your in-season cards. I mean, you've got $16 in credits, and then the 430. Maybe you win some more credits this week, which would be awesome. So, I mean, you're decent start with Wit. You didn't start Chris Paddock, which is a good choice. I don't know what kind of idiot would start Chris Paddock. Link, welcome, Link. Pleasantly surprised with his T1 and T2s. Yeah, Link. It looked like had a pretty good week. Congratulations. Yeah, looking forward to getting the leaderboard up and running. I know Cap is figuring that out as well. Obviously, the app is more of a priority, but he's been working on getting that working. And so that's another one of the things I'm going to have on that Google form, just so we have a database of Sorare usernames. It's a lot easier to incorporate for stuff like that. If you are giving us your Sorare username ever, it's case sensitive. So these letters, I believe, so this is his team name, and I can go back and look at his, but the team name is the one that doesn't change, that you can't edit. The one over here is not it's not your Sorare username. I think it's maybe the team name or something like that. But this is the one that we need you to give us, because this is how we can search for your finishes. This one is not helpful for us, other than like we can figure it out if you give that to us. But like, to make this easy for Captain No Sweat, this is the one we want. Needs to be case sensitive. Tyler B says Matt McLean is that guy. I'm not sure what he's referring to. If McLean just hit a home run, I hope he did, because I did play him last year. Tyler bought his 1 of 100 rare, never got to play him. Yeah, that was a bummer. Oh, third homer this year already. Yes, that is nice. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I missed out on one of his cards today that I wanted to get, but so the next thing I think I want to do for Chris is just looking at, and if I was doing this for my gallery, I would kind of know where, it would make sense to add on to certain stacks, or kind of fill in, gaps that I might have. So like for me, mostly what I've been focusing on recently is trying to get my in-season relievers to a place where I don't have to worry about that every week. And, do I need to start my Munoz classic card over whoever, Jeff Hoffman or AJ Puck or whoever I'm ending up going with? But hopefully having enough of those guys with enough copies of them to be able to mix and match how I want, and not have to I don't want to use energy for the RP slot. Like RPs can be very, very cheap. Like that's the easiest way to hit those. And so again, that's where I would start. And Chris, obviously likes, he's running Judge and Otani and all that. I think he prefers to play with the stars. And so for me, again, I would want to build out my relievers, I think the goal for me, if I had Chris's gallery, would be, he's got almost 300 cards. I'm not sure how many of those were playable. I'm not sure if that number that it's showing is including vaulted cards or not, but so a quick way to do this until we get our spreadsheet up and running, which would be the easier way to do this. It's going to be, all right. So again, here we have a favorites button. Other places we don't. Sometimes there's a 25 or current season and classic ones. Why? Nobody knows. Sometimes the filter's up top. Sometimes it's on the bottom. Why does that happen? I don't like that. All right. We're going to sort by price. We're going to do relievers. And so this is mostly just to get an idea. So Ryan Fernandez is a cheap one. He I think had a back issue one day last weekend, but it doesn't seem to be that concerning. Something like that can turn into something else. And so, yeah, but he's as cheap as humanly possible for the relievers that at least I like. And he's the setup man for Ryan Helsley, who's been in trade rumors for, the past 6 months. So he easily could be the closer. His stuff looks good. Reed Garrett's another cheap one if you want to do that. Chad Green, Estrada, Edwin Uceta. Also, if you want to play starters in the reliever spot, Hendricks, Liberator, those are guys that are kind of right on the borderline of, the Austin Voth experience, the not necessarily feeling comfortable that I'm going to get that floor, but I mean, he's been a well-regarded prospect. His stuff has at times looked great. I want to say that he's one of those guys that has two good pitches. Maybe the fastball isn't as great as it needs to be if you're only going to have two pitches, but needs a third. But Cade Smith is another talented guy. Fernando Cruz got traded from the Reds, but I keep thinking it was, I think it's Tony Santillan, who looked like he probably would step into the closer role if Alexis Diaz sucked or was injured, which I believe he's injured right now. But Taylor Rogers easily can be, if not the closer, a leverage guy who you can play. Luke Weaver's the same way. Slayton. I worry about Dodgers relievers, but Jax and AJ Puck are two that hopefully will be good enough to start every week, even though they're not closing. AJ Puck might be. Grant Holmes is another reliever you can play at starter, but we want to Jeff Hoffman. So I would focus on Jeff Hoffman. I think he's a guy who's skilled. He has the closer role. Toronto should have a decent offense. That's one I would go with. If I'm going to get a Dodger, it would probably be Blake Trinan. I don't know if McGill got blown up today or who was the problem there, but Brian Abreu, similar to Jax and AJ Puck, not getting the closing opportunities, but is a leverage reliever. He faded at the end of last year. He, I think, pitched more innings than he ever had as a professional. They used him a ton, which is a good thing, but it's going to wear him down. He's not going to be as great at the end of the year. So that was a concern with Suarez. That's something that, who was the other one that we're looking? Maybe it was Chad Green. I think Chad Green was another example of seemed to fade at the end of the year. But Suarez, not good. Raisel Iglesias, until there's signs that he's going to, that he's falling off, he's remained effective. Jason Adam, Anastrada, and probably Yuki Matsui, all of them, I think I'd be happy playing most weeks. And I think I mentioned Adrian Morejon as another one of the probable leverage guys. And when Adam and Estrada and Suarez, I think, had all pitched, I don't know if it was consecutive days or 2 out of 3 days. It was Morejon who got the save because they weren't available, which is good, but he is lower down that pecking list, so you kind of want a top 3 guy, which is part of the issue with the Dodgers, that they have a top 6 guys who I think in most bullpens would be, if not the closer, the at worst 7th inning guy, if not the 8th inning. But Munoz, I'm super high on him this year. He's been more expensive than I would want to pay for an in-season card. This actually doesn't look too bad. And so, if this is $16, that means auction probably like 12-ish. And he might have got bought up after his big weekend. Keep scrolling, please. Yeah, so it was an auction for $12, but he did get instant bought. So yeah, he's auctioning for about $10, $12. It's going to go up if he does another 2 saves this week, and he may well. But until then, and if you're using credits, that's $8. Now, Chris has like $400 to spend. He doesn't have $200 worth of credits to apply. So, I wouldn't focus too much on the credits. It's going to be applied somewhere and he's going to use it. But yeah, so I would, pick the guys that you like. I would start there. Yeah, I mean, I can understand not wanting to run Ryan Fernandez in a lineup where you're playing Ohtani and Judge and all of that. So I worry about Duran effectiveness and injury and all that. But like Edwin Diaz. So yeah, I mean, $20 for an in-season reliever isn't the worst. I think those will come down some. I think typically we see the best ones around 20. I think oftentimes it's closer to 10 or 15 for that quality guy, and I think that'll probably come down. But that is, like I said, one of the places I like to start. Starting pitcher is another one. And let's see. Guys that I would be very confident in. I mean, I might pick up a Shane McClanahan for later in the season. Robbie Ray. And he didn't have a great start, did he? Oh no, he was fine. 3 runs, 3 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, 5 innings. And he was flawless through 5 innings, but surrendered a 2-run homer in the 6th. 1 pitch after a pitch clock violation, and then didn't finish the frame. So, 1 bad pitch after a pitch clock violation. And that was in probably the second best hitter's park. And so I would load up on Robbie Reyes. Ober got blown up again. He had one really, really bad start early last season as well and did fine. Ellie with a 3-run bomb. Yes. Like I said, I tried to put Ellie in as many of my priority lineups as possible. I think I only have limiteds of Ellie. So I think maybe 5 2024 Ellies across my lineups. Pretty sure he was the highest projected player for FP. But he's a player that I absolutely love. Like his flaws, like low batting average, like they don't hurt us that much. He's going to steal a ton of bases, and we get a bunch of points for that. And he's going to hit a bunch of home runs. Tyler B says he's got Ellie, McLean, Judge, Soto, and Chirrillo. Hopefully Chirrillo. Oh, he swapped out Witt for Chirrillo. That sucks. Hopefully Chirrillo figures it out today, right? Or tomorrow, this game week. Yeah. So again, I guess pick whichever of your top 20 or 30-ish SPs you like, and I would get a bunch of them. Ober, Webb, Justin Steele, Max Meyer. I wouldn't want to pay as much for him as those guys, but he has frequently been very cheap. Joe Ryan, I love. Fuck you, Chris Paddock. Bybee, who missed a game, but it was because of illness. He came back and pitched yesterday. It looks like, based on that little bar, he did fine. 23, that's not bad. Win, 2 hits, 2 walks, 5.2 shutout innings, struck out 2. So yeah, that's not bad. Especially, I mean, I think that his note said he had like an IV like the night before, and so that's not bad for whatever that virus going around is. So, King, Senga, Pablo, again, whichever of these guys, you can get a bunch of them for $10-ish. Sorare is putting these out pretty slow right now, so it's going to be hard to stock up, but that's what I would look for. And also, we're starting to see more and more cards on the secondary market, and so, I mean, let's check. That's actually probably as good of or a better place, because you don't have a significant amount of credits compared to how much cash you have to spend. But, I think in part his question that he asked me was like, hey, should I um, acquire some of the 2025 top end guys like Judge, Soto, Witt, use the last 100 on kind of random lower ones, or just rely on energy for to use the studs that he already has and sit on the money for anyone interesting who comes along. Like, and his suggestion was Roman Anthony. Like, if he comes up and is immediately the dude. Broadly, like if like I overplayed for Royce Lewis because I'm a Twins fan. It's super exciting when he came up. You know, I'm fine overpaying, like knowing that I'm overpaying for it, but you're overpaying for it, And so Roman Anthony would have to be so good to justify the price that his cards will likely be, because, his first 10 cards this season are going to be his first 10 cards ever. People are going to be excited about him. Kika is for sure going to be in on that. Aren't you, Kika? He's a Red Sox, of course, assuming he's still a Red Sox by whenever that is. Let's see. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like, if you love a player, yeah, do that. But I mean, I wouldn't specifically focus on a rookie like that coming up. I would more focus on, excuse me. So if you don't have multiple copies of Vlad or Soto, and I guess if your goal is to kind of build out so you can run 2 and then 3 champion lineups, yeah, I would, the way I do it is tearing off my guys and saying, these batters are kind of similar enough, and then checking out the prices and seeing who's cheapest. But again, for Pablo, we've got an auction coming up. We've got one for 840. We've got an instant buy for 973. So if this was me, I would buy this one right now. I would then buy this one and see where the instant buy price ends up, probably close to $10 again. And so you've got 3 Pablos for $20 using those, including your credits. And so that if Pablo's the guy you want to go for again, whoever you're into, Robbie Ray, if you want to kind of bump up, a tier like Zach Wheeler, guys in that range, Crochet. I don't think their prices have been crazy high. But let's see where the instant buys are. Logan Gilbert, when he's at home, really any of the Mariners pitches when they're at home, like our starts. Chris Sale, the great one. Like, I worry about injuries. Same Mackenzie Gore. On occasion, does what he did in his first start this year. I don't know that I would expect that every week, and that's one of the things that for Sorare makes it hard to play Mackenzie Gore. You don't necessarily know which when he's going to have the great outing and when he's going to have a not so great outing. And so over the course of the season, he might be, his stats might be playable, but that's tough. I like Schwellenbach a lot. Burns, I mean, again, I follow the Brewers. He has at times struggled, with command of certain pitches, or, kind of messing with his pitch mix. It seems like he sometimes can't hit his spots and needs to be able to hit his spots. And when he can, he's phenomenal. But when he can't, he's average-ish. And so Arizona's a decent home park, so that's not bad. But like I think he's typically ranked around like Snell and Crochet and Yamamoto and Gilbert and Reagans and Scooble. Like, I mean, I think, and Wheeler, like he's kind of in, to the extent that's a large group, he's in it. I just worry that he's unplayable at times. Pepio is a very exciting one. This is more than I would want to pay for him, though. But again, whichever of these guys you like, I would get 2 or 3 of them ideally. If there's some on the secondary market, you can get them to come down. That would be ideal. So Tyler B is saying, might experiment in limited, running the same team in all 3 lineups, high risk, high reward. Well, it's, I would maybe, pick the same 10 guys and mess around with the combinations, is typically how I want to do it. And so You know, my options for starting pitchers, especially in rare for in-season cards, are limited, which is why, I was like, Chris Paddock, I can play him in most of my lineups versus buying, one Blake Snell or Schwellenbach. But I do typically want to spread that risk around though. So, if I'm looking at, I guess, 4 champion lineups or 3 champion lineups and 2 challenger lineups as my priorities, I'm probably only playing 3 there, maybe 4. Especially this part of the season where there might be a rain out, where their pitchers are oftentimes still kind of finding their command. I think to the extent someone's going to have kind of an outlier bad performance, it's more likely to happen now than at any other point, other than maybe someone getting overworked and later in the season. But you can kind of see their stuff falling off, their velocity drops, and all of that. They're not getting as many whiffs. So I would be more hesitant to just run all Pablo Lopez's, say. But if he's on a great streak and looks good, everything's working, he's playing a bad team in a good pitcher's park, I probably would run him in all, but as many as I could, maybe, taking off one just in case something happens. But even, I think I podiumed with, Lance Lynn in Super Rare one year when he put up a negative 15 or whatever. Like it hurts. It doesn't take you out of the running by any means. And so if you get everything else right, you're going to be fine. But that's a big spot where I would focus on. And like I said, if I'm prioritizing 5 lineups, 2 challenger and 3 champion, I'd probably go 3 and 2 if I have guys that I like a lot. So I would want at least 2 in-season cards of the pitchers I really like for this season. And so, Schwellenbach is someone who didn't have cards before, so he might be a fun one. It's going to be more of a differentiator for lineups, and that he just doesn't have as many cards out as others. So when he does hit, it's likely going to help push you up above other managers. So that's where I would go. And then let's look at hitters and see where you want to add. I'm trying to think who I saw for bats, and I'm not recalling. I think bats are generally going to be more expensive. So let's start here. I don't know if we need to filter by favorites necessarily. No, we are filtered by favorites. All right. So I would probably want to put together a couple mini stacks again, especially for your second lineup. So if you're running your studs in the first one, you can then mix and match with whoever is left. So, like you didn't play Ellie last week. So Ellie can go in your second champion lineup if you want, depending on the matchup and all that. But Westberg and Suzuki, I mean, $15, that's not bad. But you can put together, let's see how much Tucker's selling for in season. But like if you can do, Tucker's a lefty, but I think he does fine against lefties. I don't think he's got a terrible platoon split. I know like Jordan, it doesn't affect him at all. But yeah, I feel like Tucker isn't phased much by same-handed pitching. So I would probably buy a $50 Kyle Tucker, a Suzuki, depending on who else you like. With the Cubs, you put together a stack for that. And so, one of the lineups you can run, many weeks is kind of a 3-game set series. When a lot of teams have a 4-game series, if they put up a bunch of runs in those 3 games. And so like Miami was one of those where obviously got hurt. For me, I got hurt in that Lindor probably isn't playing at all, but like I did some like focusing on like, well, if the Mets put up a bunch of runs in the 3 games against Miami, which they very well could, it's going to help kind of push my lineup ahead of ones where there was a 4-game, like Chirrio, if he has another bad rest of the bad series, something like that, where he had a 4-game and he's sinking lineups that were just solely focused on 4-game series. But again, Westberg and an Orioles lineup would be fun. Orioles stack. I'm starting to peter off here, and I need to leave soon. But yeah, so that's where I would go. I mean, I made a spreadsheet to be able to start putting this together. And the other way that I kind of want to look at this is if you're brand new. And so, sorry, I forget the user's name who just joined FP and is getting back into it. But I think my recommendation, I think what a lot of people have done and enjoyed coming into the limited level, is like a $250, $300 budget. And so, I mean, broadly, the strategy I would use is pick 1 or 2 teams, focus on the players that you want to stack and play regularly throughout the course of the season, add to the collections when those guys are as cheap as possible. Use credits and get them for the minimum bid, so that you're getting all of the first owner bonus and all of that. The earlier you can do it, the better, so that you get the 90-day bonus and all of that. But that's how I would build, and then kind of grow from there. But again, for Chris, I would be focused on, and that's what I was going to filter, was by bats. But like, if you don't have, like, I for sure I would maybe pick 2 studs or teams. And so like, depending on the prices, but like a Met stack would be fun. Like you could do Soto and Lindor, Alonso or Vientos, or is there another lefty bat there to go with Soto? I'm not sure, but like I said, the Cubs and Tyler, said PCAs. Another guy to add there. Is he righty as well? So like him and Suzuki wouldn't be bad, but CES in Cincinnati, like Ellie and CES, McLean, like that. I think that is super fun. I think that is going to be, I'm sure you'll see a podium with those 3 on them, on it at some point this season. If you want to go the A's route, again, and I don't think it doesn't look like that's how Chris plays, so I maybe wouldn't do that, but we'll see. So that the park in Sacramento they're playing in, is like the least hitter friendly of the Pacific Coast League, the AAA league out there, least hitter friendly of the PCL stadiums, but like the PCL as a whole is like insanely hitter friendly. It's like almost like every one of them is Coors, and so it's not as good as Coors, but like it very well could be much better. And then like the temperature changes between San Francisco and Sacramento and all of that, I think is going to be more favorable for hitting. So it could be a very or at least like significantly hitter friendly park. And so like Soderstrom, Langoliers, Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker, like I think that is going to be a viable stack. If you want to go with the Rangers, Garcia, Corey Seager, Wyatt Langford, I think is a fun way to go. You can go Schwarber and Harper. That's one of the more fun lefty stacks that I like. The Diamondbacks with like Carroll and Ketel Marte. Tyler says Andres Jimenez is hitting cleanup. That sounds wrong. Is that why? Well, I don't know. That seems bizarre to me. I mean, I always hoped he would be moved up the order in Cleveland. It wasn't, and I think in part that was kind of like a lefty righty thing. I'm not really sure, but I never got that. And speak of the devil, he just homered. Rock on. But yeah, so I mean, those are my thoughts. I would pick whichever, probably 2. I would, if it was me and I looking at the way that Chris plays though, like I would probably pick 2 of the studs, and build a couple mini stacks around those. Probably build a couple cheaper ones. So like, I mean, a Rockies one, I think, is going to be more than playable. A Rays one with Caminero, or the lefties there. Unfortunately, Josh Lowe is hurt, which kills me. But Brandon Lau and Aranda, if he comes out hot, I feel like I'm not sure if there's another lefty. I think it was mostly Lau and Lowe, but yeah. So, and then a couple cheap ones is probably where I would go. And then whatever pitching you want to add in, just so that you can continue to play the way you're playing with your first lineup, and use mostly classic cards. And then, to be able to add on a second one, with, however you want to go with, in-season cards. And so you could also, like, if you're adding an LE in season and a McLean and a CS, and you're spending, I don't know, 150 of your $430 or so. Let's see what LE is. He might only be like closer to 50, right? So I guess. All right, 100. So secondary for $100. Then McLean, I mean, was under $20. He may be going up now, but he was auctioning for closer to 10. I know that's one that I missed out on and I wasn't able to watch. And someone got it for probably just more than what I had bid. And then CS, $20. McLean, probably $20. So like, yeah, like $150. I think that's a great idea. And if not that one, switch whichever one you like. Whether it's around Soto. Again, I wouldn't do Otani, but like Otani, if you want to do like Otani and Freeman, again, so kind of the lefty matches up. Judge and who's the another like Volpe, like looks like he might be putting it together, and steals a ton of bases. And if he's improving, and at the end of last season it looked like he was improving, and if those strides carry over to this year, I mean, he's already put, I think, at least 2, maybe 3 balls out. I mean, the Yankees are hitting approximately 75 home runs every game. So that bodes well, whether it's scoring runs or like getting knocked in, or hitting home runs himself. Like, that's a decent play. Trying to think who else. I mean, you could do Jazz and like Austin Wells. I think Austin Wells is leading off for them against righties. I think they're probably going to look to get him in every day, and he's going to be one of those catchers that people avoid because he's a catcher. But if he's getting pretty much every day at bats because he's DHing on the days he's not catching, he's got a phenomenal bat, and him and Jazz could be a great stack as well. And if you want to add them on to Judge, who I think is another one of those matchup proof guys, so like, he, as far as I know, mashes righties as well as lefties. And so, if it's some weak righties, he's going to do well. Jazz and Wells are going to do better than most of their matchups. So that's what I would look at. All right, I am going to wrap this up. That was my alarm telling me to at least get ready to go pick up my son from gymnastics. So I'm going to do that. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. For the folks that have subscribed to Sorare FP, if you're a paid member, we are going to do a rare giveaway. I just need to get my stuff together again. It's kind of been the focus on getting everything ready to go. Everything's going to get smoother from here on out. So the projections will be easier for me to update. I think I've solved most of the issues of problems that were popping up, and instead of kind of ad hoc solutions, I think they're mostly good. Tyler says Tyler O'Neill could be the Teoscar Hernandez of the AL this year. Yeah, that's right. If he's healthy. Yeah. I mean, he's always been like productive when he's healthy. That's been the problem, but yeah. So, but yeah, if you are in the free tiers, we're going to be doing another giveaway for that as well, for the folks that are subscribed through Patreon. If you subscribe to Sorare FP and subscribe to the App Store, that means you're not going to be on my Patreon spreadsheet list, but I obviously want to get you in on the giveaways that we do for the new paid members. So I need to check on that. I think, yeah, I'm sure that I feel like I need to figure out how to do that. I know Cap gave me access to it, but I think if anything, I might need to ask him to make that spreadsheet for me instead of me fumbling around. But we'll get you in there as well. But if you want to message me and say, hey, I signed up through the app and I don't want to miss out on the giveaway, feel free to message me. It's always easiest to message me on Discord. That's where I'm the most frequently. Um, if we're not friends and you're not in the FP Discord, you probably have to send me a friend request. As long as you're a member of like the Sorare MLB Discord or anything else that looks like you are interested in baseball and Sorare. So like if you're in the Sorare soccer or NBA Discords and I see that, I will accept your friend request and assume you're a good person and not like someone trying to send me a link to click on for a crypto scam. But you know, until they figure out that like you're not a person that I know, why would I accept this? That's the easy way to do it. So yeah, send a friend request. And if for some reason I reject it because I think you are a crypto scammer, because maybe I just couldn't see that you were in a Discord, feel free to tag me in, in the general one or in any of the other Sorare MLB focused Discords. Nifty Sports with Eric and Nate, Sorare Edge if you're in there, Hunters Discord, Sideline Sports, and Aces Major League NFTs one. If you're in there, it's most of the old heads of sports NFTs in there, but I know some new folks do end up coming in there now and again. So yeah, feel free to take me in there and I'll see it at least and say, hey, you need you to accept this friend request. That's the best way to reach me. You can also message me on Twitter. I almost never read the comments on you. Like if you're trying to contact me, I do read the comments on YouTube, but like not in a timely fashion. If you need to connect to me, there's that. And then the last one is on Patreon. So even if you're a free member, you can send me a message. I don't check those messages super frequently, but at least once or twice a week, I'll see that there's a message there. And I think as I get more familiar with using it, I will probably notice when there's a notification that a message came in more consistently. And so feel free to contact me that way as well. Thank you again, everyone that watched, everyone that's listening to this after the fact. If there is anything you want to hear us talk about, feel free to put that in the comments and I will see that when I'm going over what we're doing. Again, our schedule is going to be, I think, this time every Monday until school is out for sure. I'm just going to do it at this time. If I don't, so it's 6. I think it's rarely going to be before lock, but I think that's fine. I think to the extent I'm doing any content before lock, I think it'll just be for the Patreon subscribers of kind of going over, weather, and it might just be like a kind of more of a group chat then. Anything like this, when I can do that, but I will be doing live before locks once school is out. One of the things on my list that I have not gotten to is making a schedule of lock for every game week going forward. So every Monday and Friday, the earliest games, to try and get an idea of when I can at least do something before lock to put out on YouTube. And also so we can hopefully start getting guests to come on as well. So we kind of know what times we're going to be doing it. But again, 6 p.m. Eastern every Monday. I'll be doing this. Hopefully be having Bob join for some of these. I'm not sure. We haven't even gone over schedule yet. Again, I've been kind of just trying to get through the opening day and the week and all of that. I'm looking forward to that slowing down, getting to watch some baseball. But again, I wasn't working, past few years like a 9-to-5 job. And so I could kind of organize my schedule around the first few weeks of baseball. And that's usually when I kind of want to figure out, all right, who's good, like who's playing up to their potential, who's starting slow, who's going to get sent down, who was in maybe like a timeshare and is getting all of the playing time, things like that. Who looks lost at the plate, who looks like they know what they're doing, and maybe just bad luck, and we can look at the numbers for that, but it is fun to watch that as well. And so that's what I would like to be doing more of, and I feel like I'll have more better insight and analysis when I get to spend some time doing that stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the year. But yeah, every Monday 6 p.m. I think we're going to be doing a public stream like this. We'll have some pre-lock stuff that I'll put out, either just a written Patreon post or a video kind of running through everything. Probably, hopefully, I will have be able to do kind of some lineup setting ones and kind of talk through why I'm setting the lineups I am and why my gallery looks the way it does. I think hopefully that can be helpful for folks as they figure out what they're doing with their galleries and where to go. So looking forward to that. We'll probably be doing something on Fridays. That's kind of the next step, though, of figuring out what and when and all of that. So that's what we're going to be doing. Thank you again. If you listened all the way to the end of this, it's almost 2 hours. It's kind of insane. This one is less than 5 hours, so I'm pretty proud of myself. And on that note, and as that alarm is telling me I need to leave, I'm going to go. Be kind.